What if everything you thought you knew about crypto was wrong? Forget the short-term bar price prediction and the daily noise. The biggest play of our generation is not on a trading chart, it's in the quiet boardrooms of giants. Hedera, Hashgraph, HBAR, and IBM are forging a partnership that could change everything. This isn't just a corporate story, it's the invisible blueprint for how a single investment could be your family's key to generational wealth. If you're interested in this topic, hit the like button, subscribe, and type "interested" in the comments. I will give you a heart. To understand why this partnership is so significant, you have to step back and look at the history of IBM in enterprise technology. For decades, IBM has been the backbone of corporate IT. For decades, IBM has been the backbone of corporate IT. When a multinational corporation needs to move mission-critical data, they turn to IBM. They don't choose them because they're trendy, but because they build systems that don't break. Now think about what blockchain has promised since day one: trust without intermediaries, transparency, and automation. On paper, it sounds perfect for enterprise use cases. But in reality, most public blockchains weren't designed for the demands of global corporations. They're slow, have unpredictable fees, and their governance is often chaotic. That's why IBM's early experiments with blockchain, such as Hyperledger Fabric, focused on private, permissioned systems. They wanted control. But private blockchains come with a major limitation: they lack the broad, decentralized trust of a public network. This is where the story gets fascinating. Because IBM had its own solution, but they chose to partner with Hedera instead. But what is it about Hedera's technology that made IBM, a company with its own blockchain, choose this one? The answer reveals a major flaw in every other blockchain that no one is talking about. This is where Hedera Hashgraph enters the picture. Hedera isn't a traditional blockchain. It's a distributed ledger built on Hashgraph consensus, a system that processes transactions in parallel instead of one by one like most blockchains. That means it can handle hundreds of thousands of transactions per second with finality in seconds, not minutes. And it does it with fixed, ultra-low fees, something enterprises can actually budget for. It's like comparing a busy highway with a single lane versus one with 100 lanes. Hedera gives them the speed and predictability that's simply impossible on other networks. But here's the most important part of the story, and the real reason the Fortune 500 trusts this network. It's not just the technology. It's who's in charge. The governance model for Hedera is unlike anything you've ever seen, and IBM is a key player. This corporate council is the secret sauce that brings the trust of the corporate world into the decentralized space. Instead of anonymous miners or token holders making critical decisions through unpredictable voting systems, Hedera is governed by a council of up to 39 global organizations, each with equal voting power, fixed term limits, and diverse geographic and sector representation. IBM is not just a partner here, they are one of those governing members, shaping the network's technical roadmap and strategic direction. This governance model is exactly what corporations want: transparency without chaos, decentralization without anarchy. It blends the trust of a public network with the control and predictability enterprises require. And IBM isn't stopping at governance. They are actively building on Hedera, using it to power supply chain solutions that track goods from manufacturing to retail shelves, verify the authenticity of products, and streamline international trade documentation. In the same way IBM once helped digitize financial records, they are now helping enterprises leap into distributed ledger technology. But this is just the beginning. The biggest, most profound shift in global finance is coming, and it's not about supply chains. It's about money itself. We're talking about central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs. And IBM and Hedera are already building the bridge between government money and the corporate world, creating a system that could quietly take over global finance. Central banks are slow to move, but when they do, they move with precision and scale. Their top priorities are stability, compliance, and interoperability with existing financial systems. This is where most public blockchains stumble. They're either too volatile, too unregulated, or too technically incompatible with legacy banking rails. Hedera, with its governance council full of multinational corporations and its enterprise-grade consensus model, sidesteps those issues entirely. IBM has decades of experience working directly with governments and central banks. This gives them a credibility edge no crypto-native company can match. When a government starts exploring CBDC pilots, IBM isn't coming in cold. They're coming in with existing relationships, security clearances, and a track record of mission-critical deployments. Here's where Hedera fits in, as the scalable, transparent, low-latency settlement layer that can handle not just millions, but potentially billions of daily microtransactions from consumer purchases to automated supply chain payments without the congestion or unpredictable fees that plague many blockchains. The strategic value here is enormous. If IBM can become the on-ramp for CBDCs into enterprise supply chains and payment networks, and Hedera becomes the underlying settlement fabric, they've effectively built a bridge between government-backed money and the corporate world. That's not just adoption, that's integration at the deepest possible level of the global economy. And here's the part most people miss. When this kind of infrastructure goes live, it doesn't announce itself in a flashy press release to crypto influencers. It rolls out quietly through procurement contracts and pilot programs until one day, it's simply how things work. By then, HBAR won't be a speculative play for early adopters. It will be the invisible backbone of a new corporate government hybrid financial system. And that's when the value locked into its network will dwarf anything the current market is pricing in. This entire strategy is a blueprint for global enterprise blockchain domination. But what does this all mean for you, the retail investor? What are the 5 key pillars of this master plan that will give Hedera Hashgraph dominance? And why is the price of HBAR not even close to reflecting its true value right now? Stay with me, because this is where the picture becomes crystal clear. Let's break down why this combination of IBM and Hedera is so potent. 1. IBM's corporate trust advantage. In the enterprise world, brand trust is everything. When a multinational needs to overhaul its payment systems or digitize its supply chain, they don't search for blockchain companies on Google. They call IBM. This brand recognition, built over decades, gives IBM a direct line to decision-makers at the top of the corporate food chain. 2. Hedera's governance model. While most blockchains are run by a foundation or anonymous developers, Hedera's governing council includes a rotating roster of Fortune 500 companies and global institutions. This makes it bulletproof in the eyes of enterprises. No rug pulls, no governance drama, no sudden changes in protocol that could destabilize corporate operations. 3. Enterprise-grade technical performance. Hedera isn't chasing hype cycles. Its architecture is designed for massive throughput, low fees, and predictable performance. That's the holy trinity for corporate adoption. 4. Strategic market timing. Enterprises and governments are in the planning and pilot phase for blockchain integration. But the moment regulatory clarity arrives, they'll need a ready-to-go, proven system. IBM and Hedera aren't waiting to build. They're building now so they can be the first viable option when the starting gun fires. 5. The network effect of early integration. Once an enterprise integrates with Hedera through IBM's infrastructure, switching costs become enormous. By the time competitors try to pitch their own blockchain solutions, it's too late. The company is already locked into the IBM Hedera stack. And here's the kicker. None of this needs retail hype to succeed. Even if the crypto market is in a bear cycle, corporate blockchain adoption runs on its own clock, driven by ROI, efficiency gains, and regulatory compliance, not Twitter trends. If IBM and Hedera pull this off, they won't just be in the enterprise blockchain space. They'll own it. And owning that space means controlling the rails for potentially trillions in annual transaction volume without the volatility, risk, or regulatory headaches of running a public crypto exchange or speculative DeFi protocol. This is the corporate blockchain coup. Not loud, not flashy, just inevitable. But you have to understand what this means for the value of HBAR. The value of the network isn't tied to the price of Bitcoin or the hype of a new project. It's tied to the amount of real-world value being secured on the network. So how do we put a number on the value of a global infrastructure layer that powers international trade and payments? Let's do some math. If IBM successfully leverages Hedera to capture just 1% of the global supply chain market, we're talking about a multi-trillion-dollar industry. If every single transaction in that system requires a tiny fraction of an HBAR, the demand for the token would be staggering. We're not talking about a market cap in the tens of billions. We're talking about a market cap that could rival traditional financial giants. The current price of HBAR is not even close to reflecting that kind of demand. This is the moment before the floodgates open. The Fortune 500 is already on board. The payment rails are already being set. The supply chain networks are already being locked in. Most people will only hear about it when it's too late, when the press releases start rolling in, when the transaction volume explodes, when analysts start throwing around trillion-dollar market size estimates. By then, the foundation will have been laid, and IBM plus Hedera will be the bedrock everyone's building on. The question isn't if this happens. The question is, will you recognize the shift before it hits the front page? If you're a long-term investor, you've just been given the cheat code to enterprise blockchain. This isn't about chasing the next pump and dump. This is about being a part of a quiet, methodical revolution. The value of the Hedera network, and the value of HBAR, is being built on the most solid foundation possible, real-world utility for the most powerful companies in the world. When the rest of the market catches on, it won't be a slow build. It'll be a sudden realization that the game has already been decided, and IBM and Hedera have been holding the winning cards the entire time. If this breakdown opened your eyes to the scale of what's coming, here's what to do next. Hit like so more people see the truth the media isn't talking about. Drop a comment with your take because discussions like this are how we cut through the noise. Subscribe for more deep dives into the moves that actually shape the future of finance. And share this with someone who still thinks blockchain adoption starts on Twitter because they need to see what's happening in the boardrooms right now. The future is already being built. And if you're not watching IBM and Hedera, you're not watching the real game. Check out my next video on to learn more. Until then, stay informed and stay ahead of the curve.